All right, so the defense making its case today in the trial of former Marine Eddie Ray Ralph. He is accused of killing the American sniper Chris Kyle and Kyle's friend, Chad Littlefield. Yesterday, prosecutors showed jurors police video of Ralph. This is him in the back of the squad car moments after he was arrested following a high-speed chase. He could be heard telling the police, quote, "I've been so paranoid and schizophrenic today. I don't even know what I think of the world. I don't know if I'm insane." Tom Caniff is a former prosecutor, former JAG, and a criminal defense attorney. Robert Bianchi is a criminal defense attorney and a former prosecutor. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
Good to have you both here. So, Robert, let me start with you. How significant are his comments in the back of that car?
I think the comments are very significant because what prosecutors want to do when there's a mental health defense, like an insanity defense, is to see what's happening just immediately before the actual event and immediately after, because people don't typically turn on a dime in terms of their mental health situation. What he's essentially saying is that, well, although he's saying I may be schizophrenic, I may have a problem, he's admitting he did something wrong within the context of that statement.
But isn't acknowledging the fact that you think you might be insane sort of a sign that you are processing, that you understand that you did something terribly wrong?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the point. And all the statements he made, he's admitting that he knew his conduct was wrong. He admits that he did something wrong. When you have to have a mental disease or defect to the point where you can't appreciate the wrongfulness of your conduct in order to be not guilty by reason of insanity, he will lose on this without any question, because these statements are compelling that he knew the wrongfulness of his conduct. End of story.
So, Tom, the defense has begun their case today. It's clear, or yesterday I guess they started, it's clear that they are trying to present him as a nice guy, a good kid. His mom is up there saying, basically, the military, his experience overseas destroyed my son.
Yeah, look, I mean, what the defense is going to do in this case is that they're trying to paint some sort of sympathetic picture of their client, not necessarily for who he is today, but for who he was, to try and get a two-dimensional or three-dimensional view of him other than the one-dimensional view that the prosecution is presenting in this case. And you know, sometimes that's very difficult to do in these cases, but in this case, the defense has things to work with, because remember, this is an individual who, you know, perhaps not with the heroism of Chris Kyle, but who also served his country in war, also served and helped people in Haiti. And, you know, they're going to try and portray this as, you know, a case not involving just, you know, two victims, meaning Chris Kyle and Chad Littlefield, but also the defendant in this case, a victim of this war and this horrible psychological ailment that's affecting thousands, hundreds of thousands of veterans who've served.
All right, we want to get onto this other story that has piqued everybody's attention, and it has to do with this woman, Tammy Myers, who was shot apparently in her driveway after a road rage incident. Here's a little bit of sound from her son, Brandon Myers.
I did what I had to do to protect my family. Everyone can think what they have to think. I did it for a reason. And I do it for anyone I love.
So what he's talking about here, Robert, is what we're learning in this case. Some sort of altercation between Tammy Myers and her daughter in one car and someone else in another car. According to the reports, they then went back to their house, got the son, who is believed to have been armed at the time, and went after this guy who had insulted them somehow on the road.
I feel bad for the victims and the family, but this was an incredibly, this story happens over and over again. When I was county prosecutor, we dealt with road rage incidents left and right. You don't have a right to be able to go pursue somebody with a gun. That said, that's not what this case is going to come down to. It's going to come down to the fact that he came back, the defendant, or whoever this person is when they catch him, came back to the scene of the crime. And the issue is going to be, according to the reports we have right now, he just opened fire. There's no self-defense in that. There's no passion provocation. What you're supposed to do is call the police. So when this individual is caught, I think that any defenses that the defendant would have with regard to passion provocation, which minimizes the offense, or self-defense, is going to go away, because he was the actual pursuer.
So if that's the case, the whole fact that they went after him and then came back home is irrelevant.
Absolutely. Listen, you don't have a duty to start pursuing people because you're angry with them and pull a gun out and shoot people. That's our law.
Tom, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, a lot of this is going to be very factually contingent, but from what has been put out so far, I mean, I think you know, sadly, while it is tragic, the victim in this case made some awful decisions. I mean, first of all, you know, whatever happened at this road rage scene, she left the scene, dropped her daughter off, went and got her son, who happened to be armed with a .22 caliber pistol, and then went and basically tried to stalk the other individual in this case. You know, whether or not this is a stand your ground state or what have you, in every state you have the inherent right to defend yourself. This is going to be a very good justification defense when and if an arrest is made in this case.
But I can see how, you know, you could say that they threw gasoline on this fire with what they did. But as you point out, the fact remains that that somehow dispersed, and he came back, pulled out a gun, and shot her in the head.
The key in the cases like this, and we've handled many of these, is going to be what happened when he went back.
Right.
And I would bet you $1 million that what the defense is going to be is that the son pulled the gun out and then he
boy.
fired the gun in order to protect
That would
himself.
mean the plot would thicken even further. Tom, Robert, thank you very much. Good to
Thanks,
have you
Mark.
both.
Thanks. Good to be here.
We're going to get to